final story is just really just sort of connecting back to the beginning and going over the Freedom Flotilla.
Oh yeah, I was keeping up with a little bit of that on social media. I mean, what did you see about that?
Well, I don't know. I just like it always just I don't know. Smalls being the only one so far who's gotten his ass beat on the Freedom Flotilla.
Yeah.
Just like that. Oh, that just really is what I've been thinking of these last few days. Not like in the sense of like, oh, ha ha, him, but just like it's so funny that no matter where you go, if they're racists, they want to beat the shit out of the one black guy they had a chance to swing on.
Yeah, no, that's
It's just how disgusting these people are, right?
no. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Israelis that try and play up the fact that they're not racist, but it's like no, like some of y'all are literal descendants of Nazis.
Yeah,
like let's not fuss around here. It's like don't try and pretend like the one African or Ethiopian or whatever, person who's not, from European ancestry, who's in the IDF. He's not the guy you're making fun of all the time.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
but just going back to like just this Freedom Flotilla being detained once again, it just like I think it's it goes back to a deeper thing we've seen with just like how we even just think of public perception of like the Trump administration, right? Which is sort of like with federal government, it's just in the toilet. Why is it in the toilet? Because it's just so obvious. Either if you're Trump or you're Biden, confidence in you as an executive by the average person is just like in the fucking toilet.
yeah.
And I think the same thing with so many systems and institutions in this society right now, especially post COVID. So much stuff is just so blatantly. So many things are so blatantly blot off. Some things are so blatantly silly. There's these politicians so blatant caricatures, and the policy in the United States, and particularly its policy toward things like Israel, and the interest and the strategy of the Israelis, or the strategy of the Zionists, is just so obvious. Right, it's so obvious as they continue to isolate themselves that even just like little sailboats full of liberals bringing water, milk, and toys, like it's just like it's too much. They have to even beat those motherfuckers, right? They have to rob and deprive them of everything, right?
Yeah, I think it's still. Yeah, I think a lot of people that are in charge over there would admit, and I think a lot of them have admitted, it's like we're kind of surprised you keep letting us get away with this at this point.
Exactly,
it's like,
right?
It's just like it's obvious that the international powers that be, but also the U.S. specifically, it just doesn't give a fuck.
Or rather, just how committed the United States is to this strategy, right?
Yeah,
and so, if we understand that the international order is an imperialist order, right? If we understand that, then we understand that the policy of the United States can only be really disrupted by other imperialists that are willing to wage major counter force to that, or the people, right? And so, or most obviously the people actually can actually stop the imperialists. They're the only ones who can really fully stop the imperialists. And because the imperialists are the greatest enemies of the people. And so, with what's been going on right now with I think with Palestine, it just demonstrates the real dominance of U.S. imperialism in the world today. That all these other members of the United Nations, these members of the international community, while they may be able to condemn verbally, they're totally incapable of standing in the way of U.S. imperialism. And so why it's so imperative. It's not just some friendly government is able to do something. We've seen how governments, taking progressive stances like Iran, can only do so much to actually play some role in there. And they're not ultimately going to be the force that's going to liberate Palestine. The same thing, why the United Nations has no ability to do anything more than just have the UNRWA office, the United Refugee Food and Welfare Office, that supports Palestine. It's really seems like the most they can do.
If they're even able to support, realistically,
realistically at this point.
It's if the military isn't letting in this stuff, and it's we're trying,
But I think it also just shows that there's really no shortage of evidence to articulate the point around apartheid and genocide. Really. There's just no
it's
shortage.
you have to actually be looking to not.
Yeah, you have to be partisan. You have to be partisan or totally ignorant.
I mean, unfortunately, there still are people like that out there who just refuse to just do some basic research. You
Yeah,
know, it's like one of those things where it's like if you really spend some time looking into it, it's hard to not draw that conclusion. You know, you have to be actively searching for, you know, the wrong conclusion in order to keep drawing that. And sometimes people do. And yeah, I think it's like there's plenty of examples in our society where we see people getting stuck in echo chambers. Part of those are manifested by themselves. Part of those are manifested by technology. But with this in particular, you know, despite the fact that a lot of people that own these companies and a lot of people that try and control the narrative of the media, there's still more and more people all the time who are just like, this is fucked up. You know, this is really bad. You know, it's like, and you know, there's levels to it. There's different ideas people have about certain things, but I think a lot of people, you know, a lot more people than 2 years ago agree now, like, this is definitely a genocide. This is definitely apartheid. This definitely needs to stop, but also, like, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, they don't.
But a good way to figure that out is to trying to get organized with other folks, trying to study what other people have done in the past, talk about it, trying to figure out ways to work together and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think it's a good start.
Yeah, the future is bright, but although the road is torturous, right?
yeah.
We look at this situation right now of, you know, genocide and starvation around the world, but we really see if we actually, you know, are actually paying attention to the people around us, not just the bad news around us.
Yeah.
We see we actually are surrounded by people that can care, that do care, and can take action. Because the question is, will we, and around what?